So my name is Jordan Ray, founder and CEO of Limitless Medical Logs.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I have a neighbor. Like I might be able to stretch my arm out if it's long enough, and be able to say hello, neighbor. I have Jordan Lexi Ray. I just like that name. It sounds like a musician or an influencer. Maybe I'm speaking these things into existence. But she reached out to me on the Neighborhood app. We thank the Neighborhood app for people being friendly and nice. And her story, her testimony is going to be amazing. So, Jordan, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm awesome. And I just need to have you just jump right into it because your story of entrepreneurship, I want you to give like the whole thing. Take your time. But from what you went, from softball, sports, y'all, I just need you to tell the story because I love the testimony for what I read.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in South Florida. I was born actually in Davie, Florida, so about an hour south, for those who don't know. We moved here when I was like 4 in Wellington. So I've been here since. Absolutely love it here. Such a great environment. And my parents put me in softball at 4 years old. I guess I had too much energy. They're like, we need to get her out of the house. She's doing too much. They signed me up for softball. I fell in love immediately. I played at Tiger Shark Cove, so right down the street from both of us. And that was where my career started. And like I said, immediately I fell in love with that sport. And I knew that that is what I wanted to do for as long as possible. And I got lucky. I had a 13-year excellent career. I started travel ball when I was 9 years old. And I was traveling throughout the United States every single weekend for 9 years. So I say I was very blessed with this sport. It really built the foundation to prepare me for my unexpected future. So that was kind of the start with sports. And I wanted to be a D1 athlete. That was the goal. 9 years old, I set that goal to play Division I softball. Wanted to be on TV, wanted the family and friends to be able to watch. And but that dream got cut short. I was running for a routine play. This was my junior year of high school. I actually, a week before I blacked out on the softball field my junior year, we actually just got back from touring universities that were interested in me as a student athlete. So the dream was right there. I had it at my fingertips. And it was a Tuesday, April 13, 2015, I was running for a routine play at third base and I just blacked out. And I thought I just tripped and fell. I was very clumsy. I've had multiple surgeries prior to that blackout. I thought I just fell. But when I got up, I had an excruciating migraine, the first I've ever had. It was like a sword was going through the back of my head. The lights were expanding, the noise was deafening, and I knew something was wrong when I got up and I was walking back to third base. Muscle memory brought me back there. I had no clue who the people were around me. That's when I knew something was really wrong. And I played with these girls since I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and I had absolutely no clue who they were. So that was the day that really my life completely changed. And yeah.
Well, it changed. Tell the people what was it, and how soon did you say, hey, I have to go have surgery? Was it immediate? Because when I was reading it, I'm like, it was scary just to read, because you're like, whoa, that you never really expect that from just playing sports, right? Unless it's violent football that I played, or women's soccer is very violent too, with women getting concussions. But yeah, talk about what happened, and then how long did you take to get into surgery?
So It took, so I told you April 13th was a blackout day. I didn't go to the hospital. They took me out of the game for concussion protocol after like 4 innings. This was the first play of the game that this happened. But I stayed in and I still was foggy, couldn't remember anything, didn't know who the people were around me. Um, so I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go to the hospital. I think I went to an orthopedic like a week later because I was feeling very off. I knew something was wrong. And he told me, he's like, oh, it's whiplash. You're fine. You're good. You'll be back on the field. And I loved hearing that. I'm like, great. That's what you want to hear as an athlete. And I kept getting migraine after migraine, and I had a migraine 50 days straight. And that was the point where it was like, there is something really wrong here. And I got in to see my neurosurgeon in August. We called like a month later, but you can't get in right away. So if you see the time frame here, it wasn't immediate. I wanted to give it some time. I thought I'd, recover and get better after maybe 2-3 weeks. But when I didn't, that's when I said to my mom, we need to make a phone call out to a neurosurgeon or a neurologist, someone. And we got, recommendations. We asked around, and it led us to a surgeon in Palms West Hospital here in Wellington. And he looked at me the first evaluation. He said, does it hurt to sneeze or cough? I was like, what? And it did. It is hell when I sneeze. It's so bad, the pressure in the back of my head. And I said, yeah. He's like, I think I know exactly what you have. He's like, I'm going to send you for MRIs. I went for 2 separate MRIs and then 2 CAT scans that day. And I come back in September. I'm still 17. And he's like, I was right. You have something called Chiari malformation. And Chiari malformation is a rare neurological disorder where my cerebellum extends into my spinal canal, blocking cerebrospinal fluid to and from my brain. So I blacked out because my head was hyperextended back. But the strangest part of my story is I was actually born with this condition. I never had one blackout or one migraine until that day on the field. And I've been playing competitive softball since I was 9. Why did I not have a blackout, before then? So it's crazy how everything, aligns and just everything happens in life. But that was the time period. So September was a diagnosis, like the second week in September. The decompression brain surgery was December 1st of that year. So a few months after.
Now, this might sound like a silly question, but I have to ask, because being an athlete throughout my whole life, I still consider myself somewhat of an athlete because I can still compete with some teenagers. Did the softball, help or hurt the situation? Because sometimes staying healthy and being in condition, no matter what your condition is, it's like, well, I'm healthy, I'm an athlete, but you might be battling something, or that might have, elevated it where, it just sprouted up and it took, 17 years. So did it help or hurt? Did the doctors say or even know?
I actually think it's a little bit of both. And I'll tell you stories for, what I mean. I think honestly, I could have been driving and I could have turned my neck a certain way and I could have blacked out. So that's where I think it also helped, but could have hurt a little bit. I mean, I kind of do say that softball in a way saved my life, because can you imagine if I was driving and I blacked out? I could have hurt myself and then others on the road. So that was very scary to hear that. But I really think that softball helped me because, and I'm not going to go into crazy detail of my surgery. That's like the one area I just kind of don't talk about. But what I had was a Chiari decompression. So they take the back of your skull out and put a Dura patch. So someone else's back of their head, and they make a bigger opening for that fluid to flow through from your brain to your spine. So that's as far in detail that I will go. But the surgery was December 1st. After the surgery, you're normally in the ICU, intensive care unit, for 10 days to 14 days. I was only in the pediatric intensive care unit for 3.5 days. So that is where softball and my body and how strong I was came into play and helped me, because the nurses were blown away, and so was my surgeon, that I bounced back so quickly. I just wanted to get the hell out of the hospital. You know, you want to be in your bed, but normally you're in there for about 2 weeks. I was in there for 3.5 days, 4 days, and I was out. So that wasn't a silly question. I think that was a great question to ask, because that really does tie in athletics, how strong our body actually is, and we just don't know.
Wow, that's amazing. And if you guys want to get the full detail and want to go into detail, you're gonna have to like get the book when it comes out, or watch the movie, and really pressure her and say, look, we want these details. Now, after having, if you have brain surgery, that is a serious surgery. After you got healed and everything, how did that change your life and your perspective on things?
So in many ways, I actually still am sick with what I'm dealing with. After the surgery, I had about a month period. Well, I was still recovering. It was a gnarly recovery. This was now my senior year of high school, and I pretty much missed about 80% of it. I still graduated, got everything taken care of, but it was intense. And after about a month and a half, scar tissue started to build up at the surgery incision. And I started to get really bad migraines again. To this day, 6 days later, I still have about 2 to 3 debilitating migraines per week. I have terrible neck and back pain. And I have random symptoms like numbness and tingling, so nerve damage, things like that from the surgery. So I know when someone hears me say that, they're like, but why would you get the surgery? One, I was pediatric, so it was physicians and my family's decision. But two, it goes back to I could have been driving and made a turn and blacked out. So after the surgery, I won't ever have a blackout again. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. You know what I mean? So, but that's where the pivot came with starting a business. I lost everything. My sport, all my scholarships, and my health literally in one afternoon in September, when my surgeon said, you will never be able to put your softball uniform on again. And I think the pivot came actually when I was in the pediatric ICU. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn this into something, and I'm going to help others in my shoes. And during that time, I saw the need for better patient-doctor communication and improved symptom tracking on the patient side. And that was when I made the decision, I'm going to turn this into something to help others.
That's amazing. What about, and we're going to get into the entrepreneurship stuff, because I know folks who listen, and majority of you are listeners, you're like, whoa, this is a great story. Let's talk about the business. I'm going to get there, whether you're listening on iTunes, iHeart, our latest partner at AYV Radio in Freetown, Sierra Leone. But I want to know, a lot of people have to wait later in years to find out who is really their friend, who's their tribe, who's rocking with them. When you had that surgery, did you see, your players, were they supportive, people you've played with since you were 9, or did you really find out who your friends were?
You really do find out who your friends are when you have brain surgery. I will tell you that much. I had a great support system early on. And then after the years go by, you kind of see them fade away, where it's like, it's kind of annoying that she's dealing with this. You know what I mean? So I noticed that, and I noticed that very quickly. But the first few, like 1 to 2 years, I had an incredible support system, but you really do find out who your friends are. And a lot of them did fade away just because they don't want to have a friend that's in so much pain, so sick. You can't help them. So, and I do in a way understand where they were not in my shoes. They couldn't understand what I was going through. They couldn't help me the way I needed. But yeah, you really do learn who your friends are, and even family too. So, but the support system I have right now to this day, I'm so grateful for, and they've really, been a rock to me.
I love to hear that you found your tribe early in life, and you can still find it just because so many people, young and old, spend so much time, and especially with this internet, everyone's looking great, beautiful, and people are, fabulous life. But if you lose all of that, you'll really find out who will try to hold you up. Now, getting into the business, when did you say, you know what, I'm going to create a business? Because here you are, you just had brain surgery. Relax, sit back. You could feel sorry for yourself for a while. What inspired the business, and who was rocking with you to help you, bring the business up?
Well, I was so used to go, go, go. So like with you saying relax, you just had brain surgery, calm down. That's just not how I grew up. I was just always busy, always doing something, always pushing myself and being outside of my comfort zone. So it really was when I was in the pediatric ICU when I said, listen, I'm turning this into something. And it took me a little bit from after that decision. I mean, I didn't, jump into it immediately. I think maybe 3 months after, what I did was I kept my idea quiet for a very long time. And in that period, I was a freshman in college. And there was this business professor I had. Her name was Debbie. And I still talk to her to this day. Absolutely love her. I just felt so comfortable around her. And I said, Debbie, Professor Debbie, I have an idea. And I have a business idea, and I don't know what to do with it. And she said, you know what? I'm going to send you to the SBDC out of FAU. And the advisor I'm with, her name's Debbie too. It's funny how it all lines up. And I have been with her. She has been my consultant, and it's completely free. So if anybody here is a college student with a business idea, turn to the SBDC, and they're out of FAU, I think. I'm not sure if they're anywhere else, but she is the reason that my business is where it's at today. She kind of told me, here's the foundation, but she never did it for me. She would guide me, but I had to do it all, which was brilliant and exactly what I needed. So that was kind of the first starting point. Everybody always asked me, what was that first step you took? And it was really telling the right person who connected me with another person. So to answer the question is, I figured out how to build my network appropriately.
I love it. I love it. You mentioned, the help. I mentioned, and I want you to clip that part out and send it to Debbie. She'll love it, so she can show her bosses, because I tell people all day, SCORE, PTAC, SBA, before, all of this COVID stuff, these are people you need to know, and you need to understand the terminology, whether you're doing government contracting or not. But so many people don't use them, and it's free services, as Jordan said.
SCORE. As I forgot to mention SCORE, I joined with them maybe a year after starting the business. But I completely forgot about SCORE. And I can't tell you how many times I say to someone who's like, hey, I have a business idea. Like, they want me to consult them. I'm like, listen, I can't do it right now. Go to SCORE. Have you ever heard of it? Everybody says no. So SBDC that we're talking about and SCORE is brilliant for anybody, but especially where I was as a college student, not knowing where to turn.
Yeah, they should really teach this in middle school, high school at the latest, and college, but you don't get this information in college. And it's the reason why I tell people, after paying Sally Mae back all of her money after that, grad program, that you really have to, know why you're going to school, and that school's not really there to teach you, it's there to test you. And real life happens. You have to want to look for that knowledge. And guess what, people? The people may not always sound like you sound, because in government contracting, they have a whole different language you have to go learn.
Yeah.
So tell us about your business, and how can people buy it, how it can help them with all their medical health information.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we provide paper medical journals, and let's say you cut a piece of paper in half, 8 inches by 11 inches, cut that in half. It's a little paper journal that's for a full year, where a patient like me, I can go document every detail about how intense my migraine was, where it was located, where my back pain is. Your back is massive. If you go to the doctor and say you have back pain, you're not getting anywhere. Those outcomes are just not going to, work in your favor. So I really spent a lot of time. I spent 2 years kind of testing this product, going to doctors' offices, giving it to people I knew who were sick and going to doctors. The whole point is you see a doctor, you see them again in 3 months. What happens in that 3-month period is so vital to your, like I said, the outcomes and how the doctor prescribes or diagnoses. So we provide the paper medical journals, and we also have a digital app. Right now, the app is in beta. We have a small group testing it. And the paper medical journals, you can go to limitlessmedicallogs.com. I actually have the website under contract, under construction right now. I always like spending a few months out of the year completely redoing it based on feedback we get from our customers. So for right now, you can just follow us, Limitless Medical Logs, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and then you'll get notified when the website goes live again. But I'd be happy to answer any more detailed questions on the product or anything.
Oh yeah, it's coming because I can hear the haters. It's a gift. And so the haters are going to say, hey, Kellen, I can't write. I need it on an app. So the app, tell us some of the challenges and, do you need venture money, angel money to get the app where you want it? Because I can hear the sharks from Shark Tanks now saying, how do we make money off this? Kevin wants a royalty.
I know. Well, so it's funny how you just said the haters with, I need technology, I can't write. It's actually funny though. This type of product, I've noticed I do a lot of tests and a lot of studies. More people are gravitating for the paper medical journal because when you're sick, it just does something where you can visually see the progress or lack of, in your own little journal. But to answer your question, everything actually has been self-funded. When I was little, I've saved, that birthday money, holiday money. I always saved. I paid the bills, whatever I had. And I am considering the venture route for the app because my mind, there's so much in there with what I want to do with this company. But for right now, just the beta testing, self-funding. But I am open to the venture capitalist side, and because I want this company to be huge. And the whole point of this is to help people. And I think I was placed on this earth to make a change in the healthcare industry and help people like myself who are really struggling with their health.
Well, she's open to the venture capital. The venture capital. So floridafunders.com. Check that out. I would definitely say I might be a small member there. And, it's for Florida tech companies. And so that's why I ask, because there are some really good deals going through there. And I haven't seen them be like there's real vultures out there in venture who just want to, here's the money. Shut up, and we're going to kick you out of your company. And I've interviewed many of people like that. And I haven't seen Florida funders, act like that at all. What are some of the concerns for you, though, if you did take venture money? Is this a business where if you got, X billion dollars, you're like, I'm great, and I'm off to my next venture? Or is it something you always see yourself being involved with?
I would like to sell it. Yeah, I want to build it up and sell it. But there's so many products and pieces to this business that I want to grow before I get to that point of selling it. So, and to be honest, because I know the listeners here could be thinking, well, why was she hesitant early on to get funding? And to answer that question is because of what you're saying, the vultures. And I wanted someone to fall in love with me. This company, I'm very mission driven. We are for profit. I need someone who is like me, who really wants to help people. So maybe me being young and naive, I didn't think there was really anybody out there that could do that. But realizing now, a few years later, that there are people out there, I just have to be very cautious. So just to be upfront and honest, if any listeners has that question. But I am very open to it now. I realize that I can't do this alone. You do need a lot of money for a tech company. But it's more of, I want to not do this alone. I want to have support, and I want to really dig into others' networks.
And you've built this up. I'll have to say, I saw this on LinkedIn that, you have employees. So you do have that support there. And that's a great thing. And that right there in itself. Now, this next question is, you've answered it, but I got to ask it anyway. It's my signature question. What's a community give back that you are doing with your company or that you would like to do in the future?
Well, I actually do a lot. So I'm not sure. Well, with you being in Wellington, you've probably seen the village clock, that massive clock. And yeah, so September is Chiari Awareness Month. The condition I have, our ribbon color is purple. I actually got a proclamation put in place that all of September, that clock is lit purple to spread awareness for Chiari malformation and those who feel like they don't have a voice who have this condition. I have a voice. I'm going to use it. So that was one of the things that I've done. I do a lot of work with cancer patients, especially pediatric cancer. When I was 16, my mom had breast cancer. So I actually saw the need for the company then when I was 16 years old. But that was at the peak of my athletic career. I didn't know what to do. So I do a lot of support with pediatric cancer, breast cancer. And then I created a chronic illness forum right before COVID hit. It was February 2020. I brought like 250 people together to talk about advocating for chronic illness patients. I had hospital CEOs, I had politicians there, I had people from Tallahassee there. So I feel like I'm just getting started with the community, but I really think doing these types of interviews, getting my story out there and doing as much keynote speaking as possible, that is where my next community focus will be. And then obviously writing my book.
Yes. Now you say keynote speaking, and I'm thinking, where's her TED Talk? Is she at Toastmasters, NSA? Where are you in your public speaking journey?
So it's actually funny. I did my first public speaking event in Wellington. It was at the International Polo Club. There was, I think, maybe 150 business executives there. I was 20 years old. And I was on the panel. It was like a generation panel. I'm Gen Z. So Gen Z, Gen Y, all of that. And that was my first keynote. And the adrenaline rush that I got, like I signed up for it. I'm like, I'll do it. I've never done one before. I will do it. I did it. The adrenaline rush it gave me, it was the same as playing third base, at softball. Because you play third base, that's that hot corner. You have to have that adrenaline rush. And I always said, I need to find something that gives me that same rush. And after that speech, I got a call to do a business expo in Fort Lauderdale. And my next one was 1,500 people in the audience. So I was 21 at that point. So speaking in front of 1,500 people at 21 years old, and I just kind of kept going up and up. And I've done 4 keynote speeches as of right now. COVID really affected it. I mean, I started this a year and a half before COVID, and you're not really doing in-person keynotes anymore. So I'm hoping to get back into it.
Now, when you started, because it's one thing to play a game, hit a ball, catch a ball, maybe rough somebody up if they're coming into home plate like I used to do as a catcher. What did you do to prepare yourself? Because so many entrepreneurs now, you see it on Instagram. Oh, I retired at 21 and my parents, I retired them and bought their house and all this grandiose, BS and malarkey. What did you do to prepare to be able to become the best speaker that you can become right now?
I actually did a lot of podcast interviews and like the TV media interviews before I even did a keynote speech. And that was actually when I realized that I'm actually pretty good at this. And I'm not an expert. We all have to start somewhere. But I'm very natural on camera, which I had no clue I was. And I can figure out a way to really tell a story and grab an audience. So I figured that out while doing podcasts and newspaper interviews before my first keynote. But I think I have the mindset of I'm just going to say yes and figure it out later. And that's kind of what it was with that keynote. I practiced, I spoke in the mirror, but when I got up there, it was just so natural. Yes, I was very nervous. I'm not going to lie, but it was very natural answering the questions. I thought that, people respected me for even being up there at 21 years old. So I always say that your mindset is 50% of any battle, whether it's you're going into brain surgery or you're going to, do a keynote speech. It's your mindset and the confidence that you have going into whatever it is.
Well, definitely is, for everything that you do, it starts with the mind. But when you're speaking in a time where anything can get you canceled, unless you're Joe Rogan, Howard Stern, Whoopi well, let me take Whoopi back. Maybe if you're a female, you can get canceled. But it's that you have some people like to choose their words wisely. I can't be canceled because I was never looking for approval or acceptance from anybody. I'm gonna be me. If you don't like it, change the channel. Don't come to mi casa, tire la puerta.
Absolutely.
Whatever. But I just want you to put that out there, because with female speakers, the more bold you are, still to this day, some people are like still shocked. And it's like, no, women are people and people have opinions and they got to say what they got to say. Let them say it the way they need to say it. And, I'm not a fan of cancel culture of anyone, because I thought we had freedom of speech, but that's my own soapbox. I'll take it to London when it's too much, and I'll sit on my, and I'll be in Leicester Hall or Chester Park, whatever it is. I forgot. Tell the people where, the website's going to come back up. This interview, by the time you guys listen to this and get it and share it with your friends, the website may be up. Where can they get a Limitless log so they can, stay current?
Yeah, so you're going to purchase it through the website. So limitlessmedicallogs.com. When that website is up and running again after some construction, you can get it there. I actually get a lot of gift orders. It's a really nice thing when, so-and-so was just diagnosed with cancer or diabetes. Let's send them a medical journal. And so, yeah, that's where you get it. And listen, feel free to follow me on Instagram personally. After I do these shows, I love getting like little DMs from people, thank you for sharing your story. And I think that's where what you just said, being bold and, getting it out there. I was very hesitant early on to share because once it's out there, it's out there. So I'm at the point where I love getting, the thank yous and people sharing their story with me. So my DMs are open. If you have a story that you want to share, send it over to me and I will get back to you.
And just so the audience knows, I know she said it's in beta, but you can go to your Play Store. You see, I'm Team Android, and download it. See, play with it if it allows you to, and see. The sky is the limit. And I definitely can't wait to see you on a Shark Tank saying how you want to change the world, whatnot. You guys, we're going to take this conversation off air. Sometimes I tell you that's where the best juice and meat of the conversation is told, behind the scenes. But that's where, we really get into it. But I want you to share this with somebody. It will change their life. Jordan, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hi guys, I'm Kai Gabiam from the Diaspora channel, a lover of Africa. If you love Africa as well and you would love to visit one day or to relocate to Africa, there is a course out there for you. And this course is My First Trip to Africa, a course well put together by a seasoned traveler, Kellen Cash Coleman. This course is designed to prepare you to travel better, which will save you both time and money. And the great news is this course costs only $20, guys. It can't get any better. Go right now and enroll to this course at www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.